How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Akash. Thanks for asking.
Great. So I think we can get started. Maybe pick one or two lines about yourself and what you are currently working upon.
Yeah, currently I'm working in AWS and I'm a cloud architect in the AWS more than 5 years. And I have joined in Azure Job Oriented program in last August month and past 6 months, more than 6 months. I'm just learned in the Azure. Even I'm more comfortable after joining this course in the Azure Job Oriented program. I'm just applying all the companies in the UK. And most probably I have crossed many interviews in the second round, but I'm crossing the first level and second round. Somewhat I'm getting fail. I'm not sure. Sometimes it is lagging that delivery or like related to that, which is a scenario which I'm explaining that it might not be expected that which their expectation. That I'm not sure. But to be honest, even though I'm working in the AWS more than almost the 5 years after joining this course and go through all the labs and hands-on, so I'm more preferably applying the job in the Azure. So even most almost like 6 to 7 second round I have completed. I feel that I'm near to the job cracking, but somewhat I'm lagging in some.
Yeah. So now you are feeling much more confident on Azure rather than
Yeah,
AWS.
definitely. Because when beginning, I used to struggle to deliver and how to convey like introduction, self introduction, as well as like I now I understand that how it will be like UK based companies, how it will be the interview, and Indian based companies, how they used to ask the questions and how the what is the more common behavioral kind of questions may expected.
Mhm.
So those things I'm much familiar. So recently I have applied that to one of the UK-based company, which is an insurance-based domain. I have cleared that first round as usual, and the second round I have on face-to-face on next week. So I'm just looking for that any inputs from your side which can be helpful to clear the job on next week for the second round.
Okay. So instead of then I what I get to hear is you are good with the first round, then I think you have the knowledge part going good. Maybe what we can
Hmm.
do is another way of instead of me asking some questions, maybe we can discuss some uh, patterns or some problems that you were asked in your previous interviews. Maybe you thought that the way that you delivered, maybe that's not the correct way, or so maybe we can do a failover type session, right? That would help us to, if I can fine tune your answer or give you more inputs, if this is the another alternate way that you can think and provide an answer, right? Then I think that would be much more beneficial instead of me going and
Yeah,
doing.
earlier one of the interview they asked like, what was that you have troubleshooted and what is the time you have helped your colleagues to manage the situation when it was wrong during the project delivery. So kind of question I got that. Then I explained that we have that firewall, Azure firewall deployment in the redundant way, but when we are deploying that active, due to that the symmetric routing, it is not able to work as expected. Then we deployed that instead of multiple NICs, we deployed that single load balancer with the same NIC. Uh, it is used for the behind the firewall as the UDR and all. It has been configured. So based on that load balancer algorithm, it will not support for that in and out. It will be the multiple NIC. It can't able to realize where the traffic and which firewall has to be forwarded. That load balancer algorithm it will not support. So we identified that issue. Then we changed that instead of multiple NICs, we used that single NIC for that within on premises to that Azure traffic. through the load balancer behind active setup has been enabled, then the problem has been identified and arrested. Like that scenario I have explained,
Mm-hmm.
but somewhat they are not. I'm not sure whether not convinced the way.
Okay, so it's like right now the way you put that forward to me also, right? It
Hmm.
means I might means I'm getting a context that you might have done the work, but you're not able to project it properly, right? Because if I get
Mm.
your experience, you are trying for some leadership roles, right? How many years of experience do you have?
Overall 15 plus.
15 plus, right? So they would be
Mm.
looking, anyone hiring you won't be looking you as means mid-level cloud engineers, or they
Mm.
would be trying to assign you leadership roles, right?
Mm.
So either leading a team or putting some projects under you, and then you should lead that, right?
Mm.
So now, if I get that question that was asked, right? First, they want to test out two scenarios in this, right? First
Mm.
is your problem-solving skill. But that when they asked you what is the any incident you can tell us, right? So that is trying to check your problem-solving skills, right? Second is they also pressed on a part that how did you help your team members, right? So
Mm.
that is the second part where they will check your leadership skills, your interpersonal skills, your communication skills. How do you handle that situation, right? So
Mhm.
your answer, I know it is much more technical, but because you have to also think on the hindsight that they will also be hiring you and giving you some leadership roles, right? So you have to be very much communicative and crystal clear with the way
Mm.
that you're moving forward, right? Maybe you can break in this only, right? You can just break your answer into two parts. The first part being very short and crisp that hey, uh, I understood that we were facing a traffic asymmetric situation in which like your Azure load balancer, your Azure firewall, these were involved, and with our initial debugging, with the help of try to name few logging tools, right? Like you have mentioned over here, Azure Monitor, Log Analytics, right? Then in the
Mm.
you name those tools, and from there we identify the issue that this is due to UDR not performing properly, that we attach to the Azure subnets, right? And which caused an asymmetric traffic. Then I had helped and worked with my team to first understand the issue, and then you have to talk about those SRE principles, right?
Mm.
Issue debugging, then how did you handle that? What is the communication that you had sent out once you had found that, and how did you resolve it? And what is the RCA that you had done, right? So you need to
Mm.
structure your things in this way and be very communicative. And when you're answering, one more thing, right? Press means on your tonal part, right? Press on the points that you think needs to be highlighted. So be a bit high toned on that. Few you can just play with your tone, okay, to give them
Mhm.
confidence on what you're saying, right? And try to articulate your answers into different parts where the technical side is taken care, and also the interpersonal side, because right, because they will be also wanting you to lead a team, right, where you can also
Mm.
manage those situations, right? So those things has to be taken care in if they ask you that how what is the problem and how did you solve it and how did you help your team. So just keep it in mind, because these if you're seeing these questions coming to you, then you need to prepare it, use OpenAI solutions, put your thought into it and ask it to refine it in a better way, right? And try not to take any pause in between, okay? Like
Mm.
if I'm saying something technical or uh, some intrapersonal, I'll not take to say any fillers or pauses. Yeah, one or two is fine, but when you are communicating to someone, like, you try to be as fluent as possible, right? That gives someone who is listening to you more confidence on what you're saying, and they will stay in
Agree.
touch with you, right?
Mhm.
So that's a very important thing. For at least 10 plus years of experience, whoever is sitting here and trying to go for some lead positions, that's very important. You need to have
Agree.
to articulate. Yeah. Any other questions that you felt might be?
Other thing which they have asked about the overall budget, how it can be the budget they asked, but I just mentioned in the, because that time I didn't calculated that, because that is the way they given that project to 2 weeks before they want me to work, and I have to be delivered in the PPT in the front of them. So that time I didn't calculate the cost, but when I suddenly they asked, I just I managed the situation stating that I don't wanted to give the total cost ownership now because I need some time to calculate. But still, they asked you can leverage that license other things. Just roughly, you can give some cost they have asked, but which I mentioned the cost it is very less compared to that project which they have given to that the workaround which I proposed the solution. So that is one of the thing which I failed in that time. I feel that.
Uh, I think this is a very specific question. If I get it correctly, they wanted you to estimate the cost of a project that is getting
Project.
onboarded
Yes.
to Azure
Yeah. Exactly.
on the right on the spot, or did they give you some time to prepare?
They given the solution, but that solution in high level they didn't mention anything about that to work for the cost perspective. But on the spot they just asked about that. You can just give me some rough amount how it may be the cost the solution when we
Okay,
plan to go live.
okay.
So
So
that
if the
time I given the very less quote actually.
okay, so did you just ask trying to get the context? Okay, did you at that point when you tried to calculate, right? Let's say on the
Yeah.
spot only. Did you
Hmm.
try to use any tools? Let's say
No,
if you
no,
are
no.
using.
In
Okay,
front
so
of them, they're presenting that presentation. They asked, so I couldn't get the chance to
so
spend
that
some
is
time.
where you need to pitch in. See,
Mm,
every time means it should not be a go yes yes yes, it should be that you pitch in a passive way that yes, I can
mm,
definitely put the cost to you, but I
mm,
require few other details from your side. And in whichever cloud you go, right, there are three types of pricing policies, right? Azure, reserve, dedicated, or on demand, right? So you need to get those three details, and then you can say that I can take the help of an Azure calculator or AWS calculator, and I can give you the rough estimates, provided we are for you give me the details about either you want a 3 year reserved cost or you want an on-premise cost, because 3 years cost would
mm,
come very low, whereas on demand costs are always higher, right? So
mm,
if you use technical ways to answer, as well as use always think at the side, they try to test your problem solving skills, and if a problem is given to you, how do you try to solve? It's not that every time we can solve and give them the correct answer, but what is the way that we are trying to use? What are the tools that we know of, right? That we can utilize at that current point. So that
mm,
is something that you need to figure it out, right? Instead of giving some numbers, because they say, right, I can say 100, but what, how do I justify that 100, right?
mm.
So I can only
Exactly.
justify if I get these three questions answered, as well as I can show them that this is a calculator, this is for each of the resources that you're showing, this is the price that is coming, right? Then that's a
Mm.
quantitative answer that we can provide to them.
Yeah. Even I'm just started to practice other than the technical, say like storage, LRS, ZRS, GRS, and other than that, migration. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
try to make it myself as like a failure scenario, how I can answer one of the scenario and what is the success scenario, and just make it my own. Like what is a conflict scenario? Say like I have conflict with my manager. The situation, the solution they wanted to be client to put that across that availability zone across the region they want it to be placed, and I just argue with my manager stating that it will be the cost wise it will be high, so we can go for that standby with warm mode like the services, and it will be ready whenever that DR scenario it will be happen, then we can able to enable the services. So that way we can enable to we can manage that RTO and RPO, and the cost wise it will be manageable and achievable for that client RTO RP also. So like that, I'm planning some scenarios own. I think it will be help. I believe.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. So if you are, because you have now a bit of experience going into interviews, right? So you, if you know the pattern of questions that might come, pre always fine tuning it before and then delivering it is much more easier than giving prompt answers, right? So everything we cannot prepare, that's very true. But yeah, if you are thinking of this, it's a very, you are in a right direction, that you can think of a situation that if that question is asked, you'll answer it like that. But one suggestion is like, try to avoid some words which is not much used in the industry, right? Like no one wants to hear argue or I mean some other negative sensed words, right? So try to find some
Understood.
yes, alternates. We should never
Hmm.
means no one will think of arguing with managers. No, it cannot be put like that. You just try to refine
Hmm.
them in a positive way. That yes, we had, but just trying to answer that. Yes, we had a bit of confusion in the way or the path forward in problem solving, and then we had set up a connect. We took each one of the feedbacks, and then we decided on a detailed workflow to solve something like this, right? So try
Understood.
negating out any negative words whenever you're answering anything in your interviews for everyone, okay? So do not use, try to be much more positive, right? So anyone
Yep.
wanting to hire you will never want a team member coming in and disrupting their uh, cohesiveness of the team, right? So that's a very, very interesting point that everyone should keep in mind. Okay. Any other things? Anything technical you want to know?
No, technically, I don't think so. Only because of some the first one mostly they are asking the technical things, so I'm just
Mhm.
clearing. Second room more oriented of behavior only getting stuck.
Yes.
I felt.
It's just because of your years of experience. You're more than 15 years. So they are also, as I told you, right? Intrapersonal will
Mm.
play a very important role in your
Mm.
hirings. Okay. So work on that. Work on, I think you need to be a bit more louder. I'm not sure if it is for your headset that you're using right now, but try to be a bit
No,
more
right now
louder.
I'm in office actually.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just managing my time.
Okay, that's fine then.
Yeah,
Then okay. So be a bit more louder. Use voice tonals when you're answering. Pitch in, have some cohorts when you're pressing on some important points, play with your tone. So practice on
sure.
these things, okay? And try to, as you are
Yeah.
doing in the right way, try to prepare some pre-answers that you think that will come, right? So you are much more prepared in those questions, I would suggest, right?
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
those
I'm
will
just
come.
preparing in the star format and
Yep,
more ask about like what is you have done in the last few months and what is a successful delivery of a project recently. Kind of in a conflict, definitely they used to ask either colleague or
correct,
like if any
correct.
solution denied by the customer, how you manage the situation.
Yeah.
So kind of like as I said, a 6 7 interview based on that collection of questions. So I know that what are the things how it will be, and I'm preparing in
Mhm.
that delivery to the star format.
Okay, great. Well, I'll also try to refine your answers using now Gen AI tools, but make
Yeah.
it more humanized because those will give you much more. If you're saying that, so it's much more looks very hard coded. So try to humanize it a bit with your personal touch. Okay,
Mm.
and yeah, I think you should be good. You're going ahead with the technical things. Good. Just work on these interpersonal things. We
Sure.
always think you're the hindsight, you they would always want you to lead a team, right? So how would a manager, how would a leader behave if those situations come in? So just think of those when you're answering, because you would be the
Understood. I
bridge
got it.
between your lower
Yeah,
level
business
employees.
with the technical team. I
Yes,
used to be think
yes,
in that perspective, the next level of business.
yes, because it's properly mentioned, right? You work closely. I think this is your JD. Yeah, work closely with leadership and good lines of communication, right? So, yep.
Yeah.
Any other things that you have?
No, Paras. No, okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Next is, I think, Abhijit, right? Do we have Abhijit in the call? Atisha?
No, Akash, actually, like he's not available.
Okay.
Take from his end.
So,
Yeah, I think we should do something like we can interact with our audience and we
yep.
can like kind of do a group mock, like behavioral questions, and we can ask for the introduction as well. So in this way, we can do the rest 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, we can do that maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can ask any, just raise your hand. I'll try to unmute you and then we can have some discussions. Anything, any questions coming to your mind, we can discuss, right? Okay, I see your hand. Yeah, hi, Ruth.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for doing this. I will have some questions in regard to landing zones. I don't know much about landing zones. Maybe you can give me an input to that. I had some questions about landing zones and then DNS. When it comes to DNS, it's just not what I've done with DNS, but it talks about how do I um kind of the question was more like what challenges did I have in the which is not what I've done really, with DNS. So I'm kind of like I would like to hear your input or what you will say if you ask those questions about landing zone and DNS, please. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So I'll try to answer, Ruth. So if I'm getting it correctly, so landing zone is basically you are referring to AWS or Azure landing zones, right?
Azure.
Okay, Azure. So means each any of the cloud that you go has a landing zone. So what it means is basically, if I try to break that thing down, whenever any organizations tries to set up any accounts, right? Cloud accounts. Like what if you had set it up, you had used your email ID and then you used your credit card or something and you got it, right? But in an industry format, there has to be done in a systematic way, right? So
Right.
that means that way of setting up cloud accounts in an industry following some policies so that if anyone using it, let's say I cannot create any public resources in my cloud accounts, right? So that has to be binded to some policies, right? So that these restrictions are put in. So that way of creating accounts is categorized as zones or landing pages, or landing zones, I would say. We're using, if you go to AWS, there is SCP that we attach to it. If you come to Azure, there are Azure policies that create that, and we create an entire cloud account, right? Second
Right.
is, so it's basically organization under organization. It can have 10, 20, 30 accounts, and all of them will be following the same principles, same policies, universally accepted. Okay, no one can digress away from that. So read about it. It's a very interesting topic. Second
So
is, uh,
go ahead. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, yeah, you can ask. Then I thought of checking with your DNS question.
Okay, so it has to do more with like if we have is it kind of like if we have other accounts or is it setting up the network and everything that has to do with it from the scratch? Is that what it means? Like setting up
Oh,
policies and everything for is it different accounts? Is it different subscription? That's what I'm not really getting because I know it encompasses the whole kind of like how the organization works, but I'm not sure what it all entails. I read on it, but I'm still not clear. I still have some kind of like dark area in that area.
okay. Okay. So let me share first the link. So you are partially correct when you're trying to understand it. So it's basically segments in enterprise projects or enterprise organizations. You have multiple teams having multiple Azure subscriptions, right? Now, just think of if you are the chair. Let's take some other example, okay? So
Okay.
you are the leader of an organization. You are the head HR, okay? And you have you want to hire some team members for different teams. Let's say some X team for developers, Y team for DevOps, and Z team for testings, right? And to fill this requirement, you have hired some mid-level HRs, right? And you are the lead. Now, what you would do is you would set up some principles, some standards for your organization. Hey, if this is the criteria, these are matching, then only the three HRs for three different sections would recruit the candidates, right? You set some policies. So every organization has some policies that they abide to, and then the lower team follows it, and then the how the work is done, right? So
Right.
same as when we go for cloud, right? So when we go for multi account managing or multi subscription managing, so there has to be someone at the top who should be maintaining all of them in a certain standards. Okay. Like there should not be any public resource in any of the subscription in the entire organization or any subscription. So that's a policy that you can attach or a rule. So there are a lot of rules that we can assign, and in those following those rules, the entire subscription would get created, and then people can work on it. It has nothing to do with networking on an individual level. Okay. Now let's say if subscription X wants to set up some networking, they can do, but they have to follow. Means they will try to set up the entire, let's say a VNet, subnet, anything that they're trying to do, NSGs, but they have to follow the inherent rules that is there already present for their subscription. Let's say they cannot create any, if they're trying to create a subnet and try to assign a VM to it, that VM cannot be public. You have already hard coded or binded that rule where you have tried created their subscription. So that's where
Right.
landing zone comes and plays an important role, right?
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that makes sense now. Okay.
Yep. You can just read through this also, just given a text.
I will.
Yeah.
Mm.
What was your second question? You asked something on DNS, right?
Yes, they told me. I've not worked on DNS before, and I was told to tell about the challenges. But that is kind of, I was thinking that it has to do more with networking because I didn't really apply for networking stuff. They just came to me and they were like, okay. But that DNS was kind of threw me off because I didn't know much about it. I know I can talk about like errors that I get, like servers not available, all those, but I don't know what they were looking for in depth. That kind of threw me. I couldn't even reason on the spot to think about, okay, what can I talk about with DNS? And how did I resolve the issues?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe if I get more context on that, but yeah, it's good to read about DNS, because if you are trying for cloud roles, right? Because you will be always interacting with VNets, subnets, then DNS zones, then private links, right? IP addresses, then
Mhm.
interfaces. All these are parts of any cloud, or it means any IT infrastructure that you go, not only cloud but also on premise, right? So
Right.
it's good that you read about it. It's not that you have to know very advanced topics, but at least the basics. How is an IP address getting formed, right? What is a CIDR? What is if I want to map a particular IP address to a domain, right? What is the type of record should I create? What is CNAME? So just few common things, right? So that you do not.
Asking for those. They
Yeah.
were asking for particular challenges that I faced when I've
Okay.
worked with them. So if you have anything that can go along that line, just yeah, maybe you can just mention it so that I know what else. I'm reading on it, but I've not even been able to know what exactly those challenges that people face when they use it. So that's why I would like to know your own experience or what one can say
Um,
in
Okay.
regards.
So it's not recently, but few months back in my present organization, which what there was one problem is our clients were not able to connect to our DNS address to the
Okay.
applications that we were hosting in our Kubernetes environment. Okay. It was in Azure itself. So we were
That's
hosting
even
the
better.
we were hosting the application in Azure AKS. And when the client was trying to make a communication from their address, they were not able to come and talk to us, right? So, so initially we were using a front door which was attached to a WAF, and it had a backend of app gateway, and the app gateway then routed the traffic back to our AKS, right, via some ingress controllers. So what we found out is basically when the when they tried to hit us, they were when the response was going back to them, they were not able to resolve that address. Okay. So that is where we help them with the DNS name servers. So the name servers are basically which holds the address, destination address of any domain that you are trying to hit, right? So we help them configure those inside their application pods, right? Using some DNS alias. There's a Kubernetes concept out there, and with that, they were able to now get back the responses. That's one we
So
got.
what did you use? They were specific. In that regard, when you mentioned you were able to resolve the issue. What did you use? What kind of network was it you used? And what was um the error that you got? Those are specific questions that you want me to talk about.
Okay,
So,
so the error code that client was getting is 502. Okay,
okay.
so that's a bad gateway. Generally,
Right,
502
right.
they were getting.
Mhm,
So tools that we used, means in my setup, I had Azure Monitor, then I had Splunk
yeah, okay.
code where and Dynatrace for the entire endpoint mapping, how the traffic is translating from their infra to our infra once we are receiving it. So these were the couple
That's
of tools that we used to identify the problem, and that was it. So yeah,
yeah, awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. That's
Thank
what
you.
I
Yeah,
really appreciate.
thanks, Ru. Any other questions from anyone?
Um, y- this is Shilpa. Actually, I don't have my resume very handy. I have one, but it's the old one. And I just started on the program, and I've heard one or two classes only on the
Mhm.
interviews and all. So I'll just give you a quick thing. I have like 25 years just in US. I'm mostly a BI person with warehousing and all that, been manager and VP, etc. But I'm trying to move to the AI side. I have done DevOps, but not like a lot. Would say like 5 to 10% only, like not with the cloud, not a lot of with the cloud stuff, just in general DevOps. So where do you see, because I'm not very like whatever I've read till now, right, for the last 3 weeks, I think, um, I just feel I should go more on the AI and Gen AI and not do a lot of DevOps. I would like to hear a little bit, what do you think, because I'm trying to understand where I fit in first, just by hearing and listening. So I have like Power BI, Tableau, MicroStrategy, Hyperion, you just name it. Most of them I have worked on. Like I'm a BI side, I've done a lot of admin, architect, development, etc. That's my background. That's my core background.
Okay. I just missed the last part of your question. You want me to answer how? Can you please
So
come again? Yeah.
yeah, sure, sure. I want to see where I fit in, like because I have signed up for the program, right? Where you all are talking about, the AI, ML, Gen AI, right? And I've also taken the Azure and AWS track, for this. I just feel I'm probably more fit in the AI and the Gen AI side, not a lot on the cloud architect side, but I just want to get some kind of understanding or feedback. Do you have people who are more on the BI and they don't feel a lot of fit to be cloud architects and try to go on the AI and Gen AI side? Is that a good recommendation you would think? I just want to see where I fit in pretty much.
Yeah. So I might not be the correct person to answer this right now, but I can try. Okay. I think Atisha can help you better with guiding you to the appropriate, uh, what I can say, leaders who can help you better. But I would say if you're trying to fit into programs, like one is cloud and second being Gen AI with AI ML, I would suggest to see even if you are going with Gen AI or AI ML, right, you would still be using cloud components, right? So starting
Correct.
off, starting
Mhm.
off with the initial ones, you need to have some knowledge, otherwise it would be black boxes. Well, like let's say you try to do some AI thing on cloud itself, right? So again, you have to go back, circle back and see, okay, if I'm doing X, but Y is getting involved, then why is Y required? What is it saying, right? So I would suggest
Mhm.
you take it parallelly and try to make sense by yourself, right? That means which is your likable part where you are getting much more interested. Because I also have seen people moving in both parts and then getting one more interested and they stick to it, right? But yeah, AI is the end goal. We all need to somehow today or later have to adopt it and move to it, right? It is there. We have to accept it and move on. And I think you are in the right direction of selecting it and going ahead. That's what I can say right now.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So when you say when no, because I missed a little bit initially when you say cloud architect, it is mostly like setup, right? For example, Azure, AWS side, you're setting up say instances, subscription, and then
No,
all the
no,
services, all that, right? That's pretty much most of
that
the work, right?
that's administration that you just uh,
Uh-huh.
talked about. That's admin. Architect is it's not. Wait, it's I would say it's not the thing that you said is administration. Creating VMs is not part of an architect's work, right? Architect is basically he would design the entire infrastructure, and someone would do the task for him, right? US. So there are a lot of models in which an architect works and an architecture is defined. But what I'm saying is you get nuances of the administration, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
even if you go to architect or even if you go to the other side, the AI side, at least the administration should be there with you as your core skill, and then you can select whichever path is much more befitting you, right? That's what I meant.
Okay, got it. Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I see two other hands. I'll start with Indramani. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Go ahead.
you. Yeah, I'm audible. Thank you.
Yes.
So, just to add in, something similar what the previous participant has questioned.
Mhm.
So, I'm into SAP domain for last 15 years.
Mhm.
I'm into administration, troubleshoots, performance, tuning. So, these are some of the key areas which I'm working currently, where even some automation part is also involved. Uh, SAP is a huge domain where we have multiple products, we have multiple applications, I would say database, front end, back end. So somewhere, I'm just trying to fit myself. I have to join the course where Azure, AI, ML, everything is part of it. Azure, which I have exclusive work, I mentioned like VM creation and other setting of network and all the application, everything. So just want to understand the roadmap, how it looks like for me, having 15 years in one domain, and is it advisable, switching to another domain, or how I, how this domain can really enhance my, it should not overshadow, or it should not be look into that, how I hope you understand my question, what I'm trying to convey here.
Yep. I got your question, but I think right now the session we are in that might not, it's directly might not help you, but I can get Atisha aligned to you so that she can have someone connect with you, right? And they can help you better on this, right? Your roadmap and then how they can align your present skills with the skills that you want to acquire and set a future for yourself, right? So I think that Atisha can help you. I might not be the correct person right now. Atisha, you there? Hello.
Yeah.
So Atisha, can you take these questions from Indra and I think
Yeah. In the minute, can you please just ping me your
Silva?
email address? I'll connect you separately regarding your concern, then we'll let you know how you can proceed with the solution. Okay. If you can just share me your email ID on the chat, I'll connect with you after the session.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Uh, can put you on mute. Yes, Adit. If I'm spelling it correctly.
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much. Yeah, I wanted to ask. I there's this company that want to move to Azure. They want to move their data to Azure. So I'm suspecting that we ask question on how to ensure the quality of the data from the on-prem to Azure. So how do you think I could tackle that question? The challenges involved, what I need to put in place to ensure the complete transfer of the data.
Yeah. So if I get it correctly, you want to know what is the high-level task for your data migration from on-premise to Azure, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there are a couple of ways, right? I think six model way there is like lift and shift, or you want to migrate, or uh, pump and dump. I think there are, I think seven now they have used, right? So there are 7R migration strategy that Azure is following, like rehost, relocate, replatform, refactor, repurchase, I think retire and retain, right? These are the 7Rs that Azure follows. Now, based on what data that you are trying to migrate and yeah, what data you are trying to migrate, based on that you have to select either one of the seven strategies. It can be a combination of both also. Or means lift and shift can be one, relocate or rehost, right? So based on that, once you decide, then you have to follow some basic principles, right? Like first you have to define a strategy, as I said, then you have to assess your current infra, then go with the Azure migration, right? So there are for Azure migration, there are many tools out there. Like if you are going for a database, then you can use database migration service. Then there is Azure Site Discovery for on-premise data to move into Azure. Then there is automated migrations. So you have to go on with that approach, the migration execution, and then finally, yeah, finally, one more thing is you have to also set up the infrastructure. If it's a VM to VM you're trying to migrate, right? So you have to also get that infrastructure ready first in Azure and then do a migration, right? So these are a few couple of pointers that you can think of before doing, and then finally post migration would be your testing and validation, optimization and management. That would come into picture. So I can share you the 7 Rs strategy that Azure is speaking of. That's what we use generally. I think K21 also has a very good documentation on that. I think Atisha can share with you. Yeah.
What about the data, the quality of the data?
Sorry?
Oh, the quality, maintaining the quality of the data.
Maintaining the quality of data.
Yes.
Can you please elaborate on that? What do you mean by quality of data?
Okay. They want to ensure that the quality of data as it was on the prem, it remains the same on the cloud.
That would be definitely true, right? Because you would want to have zero downtime and zero data loss, right? When you are doing a migration. So when you are choosing the either from the 7 Rs, right? So it would be either has to be rehost, relocate, or re-platform for you again, right? Because you cannot retire or retain. So the data would be in sync and there would be zero data loss if you are using the Azure services of either of Azure Migrate or database migration. So you won't lose any data. So that's Azure way of handling situations. But
Thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
provided, yeah, provided you set the other side, right? Like if your on-premise data has some dependencies on any packages or some other secondary applications. So that infra you have to always preset before doing any migration. Okay, the migration would be the last step that you would be targeting. So that's why we always say always start off with adaptation, cloud adaptation framework, right?